I'm Nadia Arnsdorf, and this video is on the thesis. The thesis is the most important sentence of your essay. It points you in the direction of where you want to go with what you want to say. So here I have a visual of the 5-paragraph essay. Here's your introduction, here are your 3 body paragraphs, and here's your conclusion. The thesis is the very last sentence of your introduction. So let me just write thesis here to keep it in front of us. So as you develop your introduction, you go right into that thesis, and it points your reader into that direction you want them to go into. Okay, so I use a great textbook called Readings for Writers, and this textbook talks about 3 important points for the purpose of the thesis. And let me write them up here for you. Okay, the thesis predicts, it controls, and it obligates. So we'll talk about these here. So the thesis predicts. The way it predicts is by giving a sense of how you're going to communicate whatever it is you're going to communicate, and it gives that, it lets that reader know ahead of time where you're going in your essay. It also controls by organizing your essay. It indicates the order that you'll talk about whatever it is that you'll talk about. And then it also obligates, and what that means is it kind of forces you to make sure that you focus on that single issue or that thought or feeling that you have decided that you want to write about in your essay. So in this video, we'll talk about an example essay thesis. And to construct a thesis, I'm going to suggest a formula, a pretty simple formula to help you to construct a thesis. So there are 2 things that you need in your thesis. One is your topic, and the other thing is a thought or a feeling about your topic. That's a little bit simplified language, but it kind of gives you a sense of you're saying something about your topic. And that can equal, when combined, your thesis. Okay, so what is it that is your topic? It could be anything. So let's say it could be holidays, it could be college classes, it could be dogs. So if it's holidays, you could talk about Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. If it's dogs, you could talk about Labradors, Collies, or Poodles. And each of those elements would be a focused topic of each of your body paragraphs, and that would be the bulk of your example essay. So for this video, we're going to talk about quilts. I love quilts. I'm a quilter. I know about them. So our focus is going to be quilts as an example. So quilts is my topic. Now, I need a thought or a feeling about quilts. There's a lot of things I could say. I could say how to construct a quilt. Different methods of constructing, where to buy materials. What I'm going to do is talk about how quilts indicate the creativity of quilt makers. So let me just write this down. Creativity of quilt makers. So whatever it is you think is your thought or feeling, just write it down. Whatever you think your topic is, just write it down. Get it down on paper. And this, when combined, can equal your thesis. Okay, so now I'm going to construct a thesis. So I just want to say that quilts demonstrate creativity. Let's just write this down here. How about let's use the word highlight the creativity of quilt makers. Okay, quilts highlight the creativity of quilt makers. Very simple, very basic, but it gets your topic and your main thought or feeling out into a simple statement. Okay, so we're going to take this to another level here. So one of the things that your thesis does is it controls. And what you want to indicate is the order of what you're going to talk about. So in your brainstorming and your organizing of your essay, you're going to be coming up with all kinds of ideas. So for me, I would be coming up with different types of quilts. So let me write some of those things down. Art quilts, piece quilts, and applique quilts. So these are 3 types of quilts, and they kind of correspond to your 3 body paragraphs. So as you discuss your example essay, each of these paragraphs will have a focus of one of these types of quilts. So what these 3 subtopics also do is they define the word quilt. So what you can do is you can replace quilts with these 3 subtopics. So, and then create a more advanced thesis. So here we go. Let's just create one. Art quilts, piece quilts, and applique quilts highlight the creativity of quilt makers. Let's go with that. Okay. So it's very similar to this thesis, but a little bit more advanced. So let's ask ourselves, does this thesis predict, control, and obligate? So let's talk about that. First of all, it does predict because it informs your reader what he or she is going to read about, and kind of indicates the type of method, the type of essay that you're producing. It also controls because when you go to write your essay, your body paragraphs will come in the order that you present your 3 subtopics. So art quilts, piece quilts, and applique quilts will be in that order. Okay? The third thing is it obligates. It has one focused thought or feeling that you want to say about quilts, and that is the creativity of quilt makers. And you could argue that that is the most important thing that is a part of this thesis. Okay, so this thesis does predict, control, and obligate, and with that thesis you have the structure of your essay. Okay, now let me give you a few notes. Okay, first of all, once you've written your thesis, it's important that you go back. It's important to go back to your thesis to ensure that you actually have said here what you said you were going to say. And if it's different, then you modify your thesis. That means you think of your thesis as a working thesis. So it gets you going, it points you in the direction, it paves the way into your essay. But once you've completed your essay, always go back to your thesis to make sure that you've clarified exactly what it is that you're saying in your essay. The other thing to note is you could actually enhance this thesis just a little bit. You could take these 3 topics and kind of sum them up with some descriptive language. So they seem to be a wide variety of quilts. They are. I'm gonna add something to this. The rich variety of, I'm going to put that right in there, the rich variety of art quilts, piece quilts, and applique quilts highlight the creativity of quilt makers. So just a couple of words that indicate what these 3 subtopics are like, but they make it a little bit more interesting. And then they also, these words, rich variety, enhances creativity because in your body paragraphs you can then talk about how the variety supports your argument that it demonstrates creative quilt makers. So that's just another point to help you modify and edit, revise your thesis. And the third thing is you may or may not be writing an example essay, but the principles are still the same. If you're writing a process essay or an argument essay, your thesis will still be right there, and it will still have its topic or subtopics and the thought or feeling. It may not have three phrases, but it will point your reader and yourself as you write into the direction that you want. So the principle is still there for the thesis, and that's the thesis.